First with breaking news. First with new information. 19 News starts now with a first alert for severe weather.
We begin with your first alert on the heat out there. The humidity too. Highs in the low to mid 90s and heat index is in the 90s as well. 93 at Hopkins Airport. Thanks for joining us first at 4 and streaming on 19 News Plus. I'm Nicole Versansky. Brian is off today. Certainly not a good time to lose power. The city of Lakewood says there's a significant outage impacting the northwest corner of the city. We're keeping an eye on that situation. Today and tomorrow are 19 First Alert weather days. Here's 19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page with what you can expect outside.
Yeah, a lot more of that summertime heat continues to work back into our region. We have added, though, Thursday to the mix, but not because of the heat and humidity, but because we're watching an incoming round of some wildfire smoke from Canada that will likely have an impact on air quality issues as we go through the day on Thursday. So that's your first alert now. Maybe you have to adjust some plans, especially if you do have some of those sensitive respiratory concerns. Heat advisories were expanded for most of Northeast Ohio for tomorrow. Again, this will go until 8 p.m. We could potentially see up to triple-digit heat indices, but like today, we've had a little bit of that drier air and a little bit of that smoke starting to mix in, and I think that's really done a number to what our dew point is. Why is the dew point important? Well, because it tells you how much that heat index is really going to be a factor compared to your actual air temperature. So you'll notice our air temperature is sitting mid to upper 80s across our area. Heat indices couple of degrees above that point. Where we're in the upper 80s, sure, we've made it into a lower 90 feels like factor, but for the most part, that has not been the case for a lot of folks. And again, that's just some slightly drier air that we've been battling as a result of this afternoon. Temperatures next few hours will stay pretty steady. We'll walk you through, though, when that smoke arrives coming up in just a few minutes.
Now to a 19 health alert. New cyclosporiasis cases have been reported in Erie County. We have been following the spread of this illness. Stephen Hernandez joining us live from Sandusky now with more. Stephen.
Thank you. The Erie County Health Commissioner says they've detected at least 5 cases of the illness so far, but while they're still investigating, they're advising everyone to follow what they're calling the golden rule of health safety. Linda Tucker is shopping for groceries at Mulvin's Farm Market today, and she always takes proper steps to make sure it's clean.
Yeah, I just make sure that I wash everything real well.
Which is a good thing, since Erie County just reported cases of cyclosporiasis in the region.
Yes, yes, I've heard about whatever that word is that everybody has, so yes.
According to Erie County Health Commissioner Pete Shade, they found at least 5 cases of the foodborne parasite in humans, which causes what many are describing as explosive diarrhea.
Oh, they feel pretty horrible. The amount of diarrhea is up and down, right?
So doctors across the county confirmed the cases through stool samples, patient interviews, and walk-in visits to the community health center. However, health experts are still not able to narrow down the source of the disease to a particular location or type of produce.
Samples from people, right? We can't go collect produce and try to wash it and plate the wash water. That doesn't work that way. So,
which is why Shade is reminding the community of 2 of the most important rules in disease prevention: thoroughly wash your hands and wash your vegetables.
And it sounds like that's a lot of work, but when you think about the bacteria or the parasite that could be living on the dirt that's on your raw produce, that's what it's going to take to get
something Tucker already has down as a habit.
Yep, I totally agree. I was in food service for 15 years, and so that was always inbred into us, you know, to keep your hands clean and scrub your veggies.
Gotcha. Very important advice and very important habits. Now, Sharp also says that he projects this cyclosporiasis wave to continue for at least a few more weeks. So all the more important reason to make sure you're taking the proper precautions here or anywhere else you get your fruits and vegetables. In Sandusky, Stephen Hernandez, 19 News.
Stephen, thank you. And 19 News with continuing coverage on this health alert. Coming up at 4:30, we hear from experts on how to stay safe, stay healthy. Plus, find all of our coverage on 19 News Plus. Booster clubs, they're meant to support school activities. But it appears one local woman may have decided to help herself to some of the funds donated to keep school spirit high. Harry Boomer live in North Canton with the story. Harry.
You know, Nicole, parental involvement and loud cheers for the home team are ways to keep kids and the community motivated. But when someone close to the process is indicted for stealing, well, that's a real downer. Tricia Smith, 39 of Canton, has been indicted for allegedly stealing more than $70,000 from the Lady Vikings Basketball Booster Club and the North Canton Cheerleader Parents Association. She's been indicted on the charges of telecommunications fraud, the misuse of credit cards, grand theft, and theft. The alleged illegal activity happened between May of 23 and December of 2025. I reached out to the district and received this statement, quote, "The North Canton City Schools is aware of the recent legal activities involving an individual and 2 local booster clubs. Booster clubs are district support organizations and are intended to support students and the programs. While these groups play a valuable role in enhancing the educational and athletic experience for our students, it is important to note that they operate independently of the school district," end quote. I went to the North Canton Police Department for more information. I'm still waiting for an update from them. Now, we have learned that Smith is scheduled to be in court on Friday, July 17th, in the Stark County Court of Common Pleas for an arraignment. Here in North Canton at the high school, I'm Harry Boomer, 19 News.
A man indicted in Geauga County for what prosecutors are calling, quote, one of the worst child pornography cases they've ever seen. Chester Township Police arrested Stephen Hillenbreck on felony charges. Court documents say he was secretly recording an underage girl with a hidden camera. He's expected back in court on August 12th. President Trump has backed off his call to charge a 20% fee on ships transitioning the Strait of Hormuz. But the battle with Iran over the control of the key waterway is heating up as the U.S. announced additional strikes on targets in Iran today. Nana Sancho-Bansu has more details from the White House.
As he greeted Iraq's new prime minister in the Oval Office, reporters asked President Trump why he backed off plans to impose a 20% fee on ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. The president said instead, Gulf countries will be making more investments in trade deals with the U.S.
I like that, actually, because I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the Strait. They're going to be making massive investments into the United States.
While the U.S. and Iran battle for control of the key waterway, U.S. Central Command confirmed the naval blockade of ships entering and exiting Iranian ports is going into effect Tuesday afternoon.
Last week, President Trump said the ceasefire reached as a part of an interim memorandum of understanding for talks aimed at ending the war was over.
The MOU had such gaping holes that it invited Iran to take over the Strait of Hormuz. No one should be surprised by this continuing conflict.
Overnight, the U.S. launched another wave of strikes on military targets across Iran.
We're getting rid of the bully of the Middle East, but there's no fear anymore because their military capability has been knocked to hell.
Iran directed its own drone and missile attacks, hitting several ships in the Strait and targeting U.S. bases in Gulf states, including Bahrain. Nana Sancho-Bansu, CBS News, the White House.
Well, today, Kuwait's military said it was intercepting an incoming attack. A 7-year-long major cybercrime investigation that spanned the world was started here in Cleveland. The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office announced the results today. 19 Data journalist Andrew Rose is here to walk us through really how this whole operation worked.
The indictment was unsealed, and this is going to be kind of hard for some people to grasp. Remember when we hear about cities that get taken hostage by ransomware, or businesses, hospitals, maybe even some of those romance scams? We all say, well, will they ever find anybody responsible? Well, this is a big part of it. Obviously, one cog of a major problem. These are 3 Russian nationals believed to be living in St. Petersburg, Russia. What are they behind? Alexander, Yulia, and Kirill. Here's the scam that they were running, according to investigators. Here's how it worked. They had a company on the dark web called Medialand. What is Medialand? It was nothing more than a bulletproof service provider. That meant that all the criminals out there trying to steal money, they would go to Medialand and they would pay those 3 Russian nationals to be on their bulletproof server, meaning there were so many encryptions, governments couldn't find out who was doing it, they couldn't be tracked where they were coming from. So all those guys, those men and women, those criminal, they would use ransomware. They would send out those phishing emails. They believe there are 21 states in the United States that were involved in this, got robbed of $62 million. Ohio, the reason this was based in Cleveland, this investigation, was because it was one of the first places to get a complaint that called into the FBI and said, hey, we just got this weird ransomware and they're demanding money from us. This is what's happened to schools, governments, entire cities have had their websites down. They wouldn't go as far as telling us which city. Was this behind the Cleveland shutdown, the Cleveland airport shutdown? They wouldn't tell us that. But they did say that this is worldwide, from Australia to the United States to the EU, and it was mainly about money, but it was asked, was this about politics too?
It's hard to predict and get into the mind of a criminal. Many criminals are motivated by money. Others just enjoy watching the world burn. I can't speak to what these men are doing.
Now, these 3 Russian nationals, as I said, they live in St. Petersburg, Russia. What are the chances that they will ever come to Cleveland to be indicted? Slim to none, and Slim may have just left town.
Well, caught on camera just outside of Milwaukee, a truck flew off the interstate, landing in a marshy area. So the truck driving in the passing lane with a sedan flashes its light, tries to merge, quickly retreats though. Well, the driver in the pickup clearly is startled, loses control, swerves, just missing that other car, bouncing off the guardrail, flies across all those lanes, smacks that other wall, driving right into the marsh. Here's the end result there. The driver survives and actually gets out of the wreckage himself.
And they had it on the flatbed here, right there, and it was just, covered with mud. Oh, I was wondering if somebody was hurt or something,
So the driver left with only minor injuries. Thankfully, responders calling him very lucky. All right, check this out. A red-tailed hawk was released back into the wild. This coming to us from the Shelby Police Department. The bird, that's Tony the Hawk. He was originally taken to the Ohio Bird Sanctuary on June 3rd. Look at him go. As you can see, he has recovered. 2 officers, Sergeant Scott and Officer Yates, helped with his release. Now to your top 4 at 4. Potentially thousands of people across the United States are sick with cyclosporiasis. 31 states so far reporting cases, including here in Ohio, caused by a parasite that contaminates fresh produce. Symptoms include nausea, diarrhea for up to 2 weeks. The outbreak is hard to track because you don't get sick until 1 to 2 weeks after ingesting the parasite. In Berea, a puppy thrown from a 3rd-story window. She's just 4 months old, but Luna May survived. You see, she's got 2 broken legs. The person who found the pup rushed her to an emergency vet. The foster family is taking care of her and ready to adopt. Luna May is expected to recover. Vets and surgeons still deciding whether to amputate or preserve her leg as she grows. It's unclear if there will be any charges in this case. The ATF just increased the reward from a murder that happened almost 15 years ago. 22-year-old Daley Settle Jr. of Canton was murdered on his way to Bible study. 2 men tried to rob him, and during the robbery, Settle was shot. If you have any information, you can leave an anonymous tip at 1-888-ATF-TIPS. The reward is now $25,000. Experts say the Iran war escalation is putting upward pressure on oil prices. Tehran says the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. The U.S. insists oil tankers can move through it. Brent crude was trading at more than $80 a barrel Monday. That's up from a recent low around $70. AAA says the average price of regular gas is about $3.87. It's $3.78 here in Ohio. Extreme heat overseas has set the stage for deadly wildfires. turning forests across Europe into tinder. Firefighters outside Paris are battling a blaze just 40 miles from the Eiffel Tower, forcing people and animals to evacuate. Across France, more land has already burned this year than during all of last. In Spain, more than a dozen people have died after flames tore through rural communities. Wildfires are also raging across parts of the UK. Authorities say small sparks from things like barbecues left behind can have big consequences.
This is not the time of the year, not the terrain, and not the conditions to be having any kind of small fire or indeed fireworks.
The heat itself has proved to be the deadliest threat, with Europe recording more than 10,000 additional deaths during the record-breaking heat wave in late June. Breaking at this hour in Virginia, a small plane crashed in Fredericksburg, right into a John Deere dealership across the street from Shannon Airport. Only the pilot was on board. Right now, details about the crash, including the cause and any information about injuries, are not known. Also breaking, crews with the Phoenix Fire Department rescued a hiker off a popular trail on Camelback Mountain. The hiker reported feeling overheated and was taken to the hospital. Temperatures near triple digits at the time. This was the latest in a series of rescues on the Echo Canyon trailhead since Monday, when 3 hikers needed help after experiencing heat-related emergencies.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
Certainly not that hot, but we too are dealing with heat indexes. They see at 91, 86 in Menor. A live look outside through the 19 First Alert camera network as well. It's a steamy place to be. Today and tomorrow, and now Thursday, are all 19 First Alert weather days. And we'll bring in 19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page tracking this heat and then the smoke from the wildfires following it.
Yeah, so that's going to be the real issue that we will have Thursday. Thursday will be warm, but it's not going to be as hot as it is today or likely as it will be tomorrow. Temperatures will come down a little bit, and some of that is all due to some of that wildfire smoke moving through. But yeah, we've got these 19 First Alert weather days through Thursday, so just keep that in mind, especially if you do have any outdoor activities planned the next couple of days. You'll want to take it a little slower as you go through the day tomorrow. Take some of those breaks, especially in the AC, under shade, and make sure you're drinking plenty of water as well. Heat advisories are in effect for a lot of folks until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Again, it's possible you get heat index values up to 102, but you're not really in that record heat territory, right? Temperatures are currently sitting mid to upper 80s. Records long standing are into the upper 90s to the lower triple digits. So we are not necessarily dealing with that kind of heat. It feels like we're close to that point in many spots when you factor in a little bit of that humidity. But again, this is going to be a very similar story to what we're dealing with headed into tomorrow before that wildfire smoke starts to roll back in. I'll walk you through the latest data on the smoky haze potential coming up here in just a few minutes.
We're continuing our team coverage first at 4 on the parasite causing people to get sick, really sick. Doctors are scrambling to find what's causing it. Catherine Huntley joining us live now with what we all need to know, Catherine, to keep ourselves and our families safe.
Yeah, Nicole, I just spoke with the Cuyahoga County Health Department, and they told me last Wednesday there were 4 cases of cyclosporiasis in Cuyahoga County. Today, there are 95. Now, if you had this, you know the extreme toll it takes on your body. Without mincing words, it's an explosive diarrhea that's linked to fresh produce and leafy greens, and people all around Ohio and all around the country are getting sick.
Cyclosporiasis is a subtropical and tropical parasite and not normally found in Ohio, but it's making people here very sick. The health department wants you to wash your hands before and after preparing food and thoroughly scrub and wash every part of fruits and veggies you're eating.
When we thoroughly wash these fresh fruits and vegetables, again, under running water, not by putting them into a bowl or the sink and soaking them, but cleaning them thoroughly under running water, we know from past experience that that can be very effective at reducing our risk of developing this illness.
The health department also says eating locally grown produce is a safer bet. When possible, they want you to cook your food to 158 degrees to kill the parasite. However, no matter how careful you are, there's still a chance you can get sick.
This is not a time to tough it out. This is something that your doctor can diagnose very easily using a stool sample, and in turn can treat very effectively with antibiotics. So this is very treatable.
If you think you have it, call your doctor right away for some potential relief. Ohio has nearly 400 cases according to the most recent data. Normally, the state sees around 70 cases of cyclosporiasis every year. But these numbers pale in comparison to Michigan, where state health officials say they have more than 3,000 cases. The culprit food is still a mystery. The CDC is working to figure out what it is.
As soon as we identify such a source, we will make people aware, and we'll work with that source to eliminate this going forward.
Now, bottom line here, if you think you might have cyclosporiasis, meaning you have severe diarrhea, go to the doctor. Be sure to thoroughly wash your fruits and veggies and eat local veggies as much as possible. Now, the CDC is still looking for the source. As soon as we find out what it is, we'll be sure to let you know. In Cleveland, Catherine Huntley, 19 News.
19 News with continuing coverage on this health alert coming up everywhere at 5. What you should do if you do get the parasite. Monday's deadly ICE shooting in Maine is the second in the United States in a week. It is prompting immediate temporary changes to immigration enforcement operations. Lilia Luciano is in Biddeford with the story.
Sources tell CBS News ICE has been instructed to immediately suspend most vehicle stops during immigration enforcement operations, following 2 fatal encounters in the U.S. in 1 week. The temporary move is to allow additional training for officers on vehicle stop tactics.
I think that's a positive step. I wish they'd taken it on Sunday instead of Monday. We wouldn't have to have a loss of life in Maine.
That loss was the shooting death of Colombian immigrant Juan Sebastian Guerrero, who was not the target of the operation. Doorbell cameras picked up the sound of gunshots Monday, and the car Guerrero was in can be seen circling this intersection with him seemingly unconscious in the driver's seat.
I'm positive I heard the guy say, "I tried to stop," and it was pretty loud.
DHS said ICE was surveilling the last known address of a, quote, illegal alien. They say, quote, an illegal alien departed the residence in a vehicle and later attempted to flee, and fearing for public safety, an officer discharged his weapon. Maine state lawmakers say they are hearing inconsistencies.
Is it the case that someone's life was at risk in law enforcement, or is it the case that the general public's safety was at risk? I think that's an important detail that needs to be determined.
ICE agents were not wearing body cameras. Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins says she was told this by Homeland Security.
Larger communities received the body cameras first before smaller communities like those in Maine.
ICE is forward funded through the end of the Trump administration. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Biddeford, Maine.
1 man is dead, 2 others are injured in a Cleveland shooting. Officers responded to a large crowd and shots fired at Max Corner Bars on East 175th Street. Someone apparently drove 1 man to the hospital before officers arrived. 19-year-old Charles Clark was rushed to the hospital, but later died. Another victim, a 23-year-old man, was shot in the leg. Right now, we do not have any information on any arrests.